There came a time in my life where I developed this crazy sense where I needed everybody's approval. I did everything I could to fit in with everybody else. So when I was about 11, 12 years old, I began to smoke weed, and I started drinking alcohol, started hanging out with some of the wrong people, started to get into fights. School was never my focus. It was always impressing other people. By the time I was in high school, I was partying, I was doing cocaine, I was getting suspended and getting arrested, going to jail a lot. That kind of became who I was. That kind of became my identity. So after high school, things began to get worse and worse. I just continued to mess up over and over and over again. I had several DUIs. I got picked up with a car full of cocaine and guns, and I was facing 4 years in prison. I got caught up in all that, and eventually I myself got robbed. A guy reached into my car, started swinging a pistol in, and hit me over the head a bunch of times until I was bleeding. I almost lost my life that day, and I ended up in the hospital. I realized I was at a point in my life where I was just sick and tired of everything. I was sick of the way my life looked. I was sick of never knowing what was going to happen tomorrow. And I knew something had to change. And it was at that time that I decided to put myself in a rehab. And when I got out, I met somebody here from Sagebrush who invited me to come to a service. And God began to work in my life. Todd preached a message, and in the middle of his prayer, I began to break down because I knew God had something planned for me. I knew God wanted more for my life, and I knew that everything I had been through, I knew in that moment that God had been with me. I fell in love with the church, and so knowing that God had forgiven me, it changed everything. For the next year, I attended Sagebrush. I got baptized. After I gave my life to Christ, I thought it was going to be all perfect. I thought everything was going to look great, that all my problems were going to be solved. And it wasn't the case. My best friend was killed. And that was something that I had never dealt with before. I walked away from God. I stopped coming to church, and I kind of really fell apart. I started drinking again and smoking again. My life didn't begin to change, and I mean like radically change, until every day I had a relationship with Jesus. I mean, every morning I got up and I prayed and I read the Word, and that was when I began to see my life change more than I had ever seen in my entire life. I moved on. I became a student pastor in Los Angeles, and then one day I got the opportunity to come back here to Sagebrush, where I first met God, where I first encountered Jesus. God was able to bring me back here to the city where I had seen so much go wrong and seen so many students living a life that was so far from God, and allow me to come back and to be a part of a ministry with students in the same city that I grew up in, that are going through the same things that I went through, that are going to face a lot of the same challenges that I had to face. If I could save you the heartache and the pain and the suffering and the years of wasted life with one piece of advice, it would be to use your time now to build a relationship with Jesus Christ, because that's what's going to save you in the end, and that's what's going to change you.